Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and yes, we're talking about LEGO ideas again in the same day. Well, for one reason, there was a thing that came up, which I'll talk about through most of the video, that I did not cover previously. And second, I wanted to correct something from the earlier part of today when I talked about the Stratocaster. I said that I was very confused that I had never seen it as an ideas project that got approved, and any hype around it or anything like that. Well, I was informed after the video was posted that this was actually a contest-winning entry from LEGO Ideas, the website. It did not need the 10,000 supporters in order to become a LEGO set, which I find kind of cool, but kind of weird. Basically, literally everything I do about Bizarre LEGO is like that, sure, but I don't know if that's... I don't want to say the word unfair, but it does feel kind of weird. LEGO has done several contests in the past for decades, where winning entries could become a LEGO set or incorporated into an official LEGO product. That part is true, and those have existed. Even in programs like LEGO Factory, some of the original, like the Market Street set, was based on fan designs. Or even the amusement park, or those miniature sets. Those were from that too. They were actually part of a contest. LEGO Legends, I learned recently, was fan-voted for what they wanted to revive as LEGO sets. Not all of them, but some of them. That being said, I do have to at least credit that, somebody did go through a contest in order to win their set and become an official LEGO product. I'll give them kudos because it is still a really good Fender Stratocaster model. And I just find it interesting on how LEGO decided to handle that by using the Ideas website for something more than just the crowdsourcing, crowdfunding mentality that we've known for the past over 10 years. Can you believe it? It's already been like 10 years or so that we've been used to the LEGO Kuso and Ideas. So, moving on from there, I did want to talk about the recent review period. So this is a LEGO Ideas tweet that says, "We've just closed the latest review period and a full 34 submissions have hit the 10K milestone to qualify for the second 2021 LEGO Ideas review. What are your favorites? Check out all the projects I qualified in the link below." So, in this original photo, I did not vote on any of these. I'll be straightforward, I did not vote on any of these projects to reach the 10K support. And that's not a dig against them. That's not because I voted for a similar project. That's because I rarely go into the LEGO Ideas website. I am interested in what becomes a LEGO set. I am interested in what fans create as models, but I don't surf on the site often enough to support a lot of projects. Very few times that I do. And that's also leading into the fact that I didn't know that there was a contest for the music theme that led to the Stratocaster as a LEGO set. That's fair enough, I'm not up on that. And I don't imagine every LEGO fan is. Not even every LEGO super fan. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of medieval projects in this review period, and that's not counting all the ones on the website. That's not counting ones in previous review periods. That's not counting even ones from, past years of submissions of projects that were, declined or, just missed by a certain mark of anything. So, yeah, I've seen the name medieval multiple times in here. And I have reason to believe that, okay, LEGO must be taking interest, that people do want medieval things. They just had the medieval blacksmith shop earlier this year, like February or something, if I remember correctly. So, I feel like people can be held over for a little while longer. We did also get the Creator Castle set that came out this past August. So, again, the interest is still there, but at least there are products that can be picked up. And at least it's really cool. Like even if, I will also say this. Even if a LEGO Ideas project does not become a full LEGO set, I still like a lot of the projects that step forward. A lot of these, yes, are fan designs that are digitally created. Sometimes the pieces are not available. Sometimes the builder may not have those pieces accessible. But I still give them credit, like many digital projects that I see all over the internet, I still give them credit for the design of it. there's still really good concepts and building techniques that are put into these and offer something really unique. So don't be disappointed ever if a project does not become a full Lego set. There's still merit to it being a cool model. I mean, there are plenty of avenues all throughout the social media and Lego's own personal pages where they can be displayed and appreciated. So I just want to add that into there because, yes, there are a lot of projects. They don't always get picked, and Lego can only produce so many per year. Whatever, that's fine. But that doesn't mean the other ones were terrible either. So I'm going to do a quick run through of these with a little closer images of everything. There is one in here that needed to be corrected where it says Animal Crossing New Horizons Paradise. That is actually corrected on the website. People pointed it out on social media, and Lego Ideas replied and said, don't worry, we fixed it. So, simple thing to change there. And, that was it. But I'll get to it in just a moment. So, long story short, I quote tweeted this particular tweet from Lego Ideas with my predictions. And my predictions, just on, like, roughly what I looked at, was that the Imperial Fortress, I think it was called, the Imperial something. Imperial Island Fort. Close. I predicted that Imperial Island Fort was definitely my favorite. It's definitely one that I like. It would be nice to see a counterpart to the Pirates of the Barracuda Bay, even though, yes, we did get that earlier this year. That's a point against it, where it's like, okay, we already had a Pirates-themed one. So, even if this got moved to next year, it's going to be a while before we see another Pirates thing. Kind of like with the castle stuff. So, fair enough. It would just be nice seeing it from the opposite faction. That's my strong suit for it. And this is the kind of thing that I would like to see specifically from LEGO Pirates, but also Castle, and probably even Space. If LEGO put out a particular one-off set, even if it was once a year, but it'd be generous if it was twice a year, that older fans can appreciate. It would still be a revamp of sorts of those older themes, but with new pieces, new building techniques, new etc. And they just do that every year. Where it's like, okay, this year we get a Pirates set. Next year we get a Castle set. Next year we get a Space set. Next year, whatever. And just cycle through them like that. Kind of like what they do in LEGO City, where the summer themes will cycle through every couple of years between Divers, Arctic, Jungle. I'm trying to remember what they all are. There's a bunch of them. They take a while. Space, that's another one, yeah. Like the city spaceport kind of things. All right. And then, so my favorite out of them right out, just, first impression was the Imperial Island Fort. What I predicted would win is the A-frame cabin, because that one has a unique design to it. It stands out from the other models, not only for the design, but also for, the colors and things that are used with it. And theming-wise, it doesn't tie into something that's already come out this past year, or even a bit of last year. But I could just as easily see a whole bunch of other projects that could become real sets. And again, given the wait period between a project's decision and its release, it'll probably come out in 2022 more than 2021. 2021 is already set as far as we know for the other Ideas projects. Like the Home Alone will probably come out, I want to say, predicting-wise, it's a Christmas-themed set, so it would come out, say, November, if it doesn't come out. Like, the Stratocaster is coming out October. It could easily come out in November to prepare for the holidays. Alright, so anyways, taking a closer look at each of these, and again, I have not voted on any of them, so I do not have any prior knowledge of them, and I'm not going to look through every single photo of them right now. Lifeguard Shack, that's interesting. It's a pretty advanced size of a model, but it looks pretty good. I also do like the light aqua in here because it's not used that much in any other Lego sets. Like, the last place I can think that had a whole bunch of light aqua like that was the Cars 2 sets with Professor Z. and that's for one particular car-based character, not even a full, like, building or anything. So having it here, kind of nice, but it could also be a little garish compared to the sand below it, you know, like color theory-wise. It might be a little too much bright color in your face kind of thing, so I can understand that. I live down the shore. I've never seen a shack like this for a lifeguard near the beach. But that's not to say they don't exist. I'm sure that some of these exist somewhere, and I'm just not personally exposed to it. But it doesn't seem impractical of a model either. I could see this bucking up right next to the old fishing store, for example, by the way that it's designed. So, pretty neat. Imperial Island Fort. Yeah, looking at this again, this actually looks pretty massive. It would be a very good, like, counterpart to Pirates of the Barracuda Bay, considering that one's size. I'd still like to get that one at some point, but we'll have to wait and see when. It's a pretty suitable model. It's got a lot of nice architecture used in it. It's got a lot of different kinds of pieces and texturing for the buildings. So I really do appreciate that. It does have a couple of what look to be printed elements here and there for the flags. There's one of these corner pieces, which I don't know if LEGO still uses. I think they do, or they might have modified it at some point. That's on one of these buildings over here. They use it as part of the corners of the building, which do reminisce on the older Pirates themes and the Imperial buildings with them, yes. But I don't know if that part still exists in their library or if it's something they would even return to. They've done that on occasion, though. They've returned to certain older pieces, you know, taking them out of the production or putting them back in production from being out of production. The palm tree would be another one. It's kind of a sticking point here. But we're also talking about, hey, most of the LEGO idea sets are going to be changed drastically. So I would say, yeah, that would be something that would be changed up. They probably wouldn't have it as a wackily, bendly tree like that one again, unless they brought the part back. It could have easily been made into some other kind of tree, or some other, you know, trunk for the tree, I should say. And considering there's a whole bunch in here, yeah. But otherwise, it's a really nice model. I really do like this thing all the way around. I think it is funny that they use one of the old Star Wars heads for this Imperial soldier right here on the dock. That to me is personally funny. When you have a lot more of the modern faces all around the place. Yeah, it's cool. Not bad. I'm curious as to what the rest of it would look like on the inside. Probably having some quarters and maybe some I could see like 2 or 3 rooms out of this one or something like that. So yeah, not bad. They probably Pirates of Barracuda Bay didn't really have a conflict in a box, right? It was just about the pirates. There were no Imperial soldiers in it, if I remember correctly. So they could do the same thing here, or they could have like 1 or 2 pirates in a prison and they break them out, just like they've done in the older sets. I don't know. It's not bad. I will say I do have bias with it because 6242 Soldier's Fort from 2009 is one of my favorite LEGO sets of all time. So there's that. And I say one of because that has been that has been questioned in the past couple of years. So I don't know if I can hold it at the number 1 spot anymore. Then we have Spaceballs. I mean, they own LEGO Star Wars sets. I have a hard time understanding if they would do it even as a one-off ideas project set to parody an existing thing. That being said, it's not the first time LEGO's done that in their history. LEGO Studios, when it first began, had a lot of backing from Steven Spielberg, you know, very famous movie director. And with that backing, they created the Movie Maker set, which had a whole bunch of different elements that kind of parodied, kind of spun off from the Jurassic World, or I should say Jurassic Park films. I mean, the whole base of the set has a dinosaur rampaging through a city, and you could change the scale of the dinosaur to the city. So it's kind of like, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the Jurassic Park movies, I think the third one? Lost World? I think it was that one. Had that similar vibe to it. And at the same time, or shortly after I should say, LEGO did produce Jurassic Park licensed sets based on Jurassic Park 3. So, I guess it's not out of their wheelhouse to have a Lego set one-off that could parody something they're already licensing, but we're talking about Star Wars, and we're talking about Spaceballs. I'd love to see that, personally. I love the Mel Brooks film, but I have my doubts if it could actually happen. I still think it's a really cool ship. I think it's probably the best way they could have done a Lego set, and at least based on the property, I should say. But I don't see it likely to happen. I'd be happy if it was, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I also don't know if they parody literally everybody from the film in this. Then we have the costume store. This one looks like a modular, I think. It's definitely have a modular vibe to it. I mean, it would be a great way of introducing a whole bunch of elements that otherwise wouldn't fit into a city-like set, because it's a costume store. You could have all these different accessories because they're part of a costume. They're not things that a minifigure would normally walk around and wear unless they want to do cosplay. I mean, yes, cosplay is definitely more recognized now, but, you know, this would fit more. It already has that autumn Halloween vibe to it, so not bad. And you even see that there's like a kid down here that's dressed up with some older garments. You have someone with I thought it was a sewing machine at first. It turns out it's not. It's like a inkwell, some kind of like design table, I suppose. There's a girl over here with a wand. That'd be great if they brought the wand back, because I actually found that. I have a couple of them in my collection. I don't think they still use them, or if they do, it's very sparingly at this point. I am a sucker for those wands because they are just so cool, putting them with minifigs or putting them in the background of things. I really do love the glow-in-the-dark ones specifically. But yeah, I like the tree design here too. The building itself also got a lot of really cool... It's definitely very much inspired from the modular scale buildings, because the way they use different pieces, like the bananas in the archway, is really nice. It really has a lot of class to it. I also like that there are parts of the roof that have, like, I don't know if they're supposed to be broken or like hatchways or something like that, but still an interesting design for how they form the roof on each of these. So, and of course, you gotta add the frogs. I mean, that's like the cherry on top for Lego designers. Whatever the reason is, some weird tradition that they love using the frogs in all different building techniques, all in different Lego sets. So it's actually a pretty formidable building. It's got some nice color to it. The white really stands out. And I say almost uncomfortably stands out, though. If I have to say anything that's wrong about this one, other than the size of the set, is that it's really hard to see the color through it, because there's so much of the white framing and fencing that goes around it. Looks nice on its own, but all of the color gets very muddled, at least at this angle, behind it. I mean, you can see it very clearly from, like, the side here, because that's just where the walls meet. But, still, a good concept, a good idea. And even if you didn't use it there, you could easily turn one of the other modulars into a costume store. Then we have BTS Dynamites. Okay, so I have seen this one from JB Brick Fanatic. I don't know about BTS as a band. I just know that they exist. And I'm assuming this is based on a music video? I'm honestly not sure. I do find it surprising that he didn't use any faces on the figures, probably because they would have a custom face anyways, as opposed to grabbing one that already exists that would just resemble them. But I'm okay with that. There's no problem with that, because that would normally happen with the models anyways after their design phase. So again, I'm not really sure. I'm not particularly familiar with the premise here, but I still like that there's some variety of different things that can be done in here. This looks like it almost looks like it's taking place in a mall, I'm guessing, for this like music video look to it. I do like the idea of a music store here. That seems like a really cool thing to have set up, and, you know, little racks in there I see with the albums. So that seems like a useful thing. it's got the right size to it for an ideas project that could, you know, get a particular scene across, you know. It's not too big, it's not too small. The donut shop, I guess, on the corner, I don't see a lot through the window, but I'm sure it will be filled in. I'm sure it would have, like, a place to sit down, some kind of bakery behind it, or something like that. And maybe there's more in the photos. Again, I'm not looking through every single one of the photos, because it'll take a while as it is. And, I'm sorry. So I'm sure there's a lot more consideration here than I'm personally aware of. And that's easy, because I live under a rock. Or how it feels compared to most people. I'm not familiar with the source material. That's on me. It's not a dig against JB. Movie set. There's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot going on. So these are all different facades that are made on purpose to be facades to represent different movie sets. That you could have someone on a camera and this little track that runs back and forth in order to film a movie. I'm guessing the impression with this particular car is that you actually have your phone sitting in it, so you could actually do the Movie Maker. If this was like the modern equivalent to the Movie Maker Studio set I talked about earlier, that would be amazing. Yeah, I mean, yes, we've had a couple of them for the Lego movies, Lego Batman movie, Ninjago, and Lego Movie 2, blah, blah, blah. They're very reduced versions of that. But this one is entirely brick built. So that might actually look really, really cool. I doubt it would have that many of sceneries, but still good to have the variety there. So if this was voted, then it would at least have, you know, pick and choose what kind of things could be made. And even for people who, you know, want to consider it later for their own building, at least, you know, they have some blueprints to work off of. So I do like how these look. And heck, these look good on their own as like a mini street corner. I mean, I've seen this with some people. They'll take like some of the creator sets, not the modular ones, but like the smaller creator sets, the mini modulars, and they will make those facades as just the backdrop of their city. Like if they just have a wall that they can't explain or they can't put a background to it, they could just put a whole row of these just to cover that up, and it looks really nice. And it doesn't need the full building to get the point across. So, you know what? It's a very, very good idea. A-frame cabin. This is the one that I think will win. And very simply, like I said, it's very unique in its architecture. It's very unique in how everything is put together. Some of the building techniques in here. I think this one's actually brick built. This looks like a real photo. As opposed to many of the other ones that normally come through that will be a digital model, this one actually looks like it was built in person, which is impressive. I do like those. I mean, I like the digital ones as well, but it's also good to see that in a physical space, yes, this actually would go together. I do like that they use the hockey piece here as part of the latch for holding up the window there. That's a really cool idea, which I never would have thought of before. And they have the little falcon up there. Falcon's a really cool piece, honestly. You know, short-lived animal from a little bit Ninjago and a little bit Lone Ranger. I don't remember if it was beyond that. Got some nice big brick-built trees up here. Got that autumn theme going. You know, not the first autumn theme that we've seen. I do like that they use a treasure map from Friends as part of this walkway with even the rickety stairs. I guarantee that if it was actually a Lego set based off of this, they would actually have to put these in. Like, either you have to put a piece underneath it to simulate that feeling, or you have to click them down, because they wouldn't tell you in the instructions to halfway put in a plate or a tile or something. But still, as a model, it looks really nice. The slingshot, it's the door handle. There's a lot of creativity here. I'm really curious as to how the inside of it looks, too. The bear peeking around the corner is funny. Yeah. I mean, they even use stud launchers in here as, like, part of a wood, you know, part of a bark that was cut by the axe. That's a good idea. That's very nice. I wouldn't be disappointed if that won, and even if it got revised. Boston Dynamics Spot 1:4 scale motorized model. This is a famous walking model robot you've seen this for years, and it's, there are some really impressive things that this thing can do. There are some impressive gymnastics and movements that this thing can handle. I guarantee not everybody could try those themselves, but hey, they're really cool to see, and seeing it in Lego form is pretty nice. I don't know if the intention is that this thing would actually be motorized and you would be able to control it. If so, it would be the first motorized idea set. I mean, many other ones would just be, oh, you can modify them to do this thing, but they're not usually intended to do that right out of the box. I don't know if Lego would lean that way with it, even though they've encouraged that with other themes, like with the creator expert sets, 18 plus sets, where, oh, you can add a motor to this, or, oh, you can add lights to this thing. But still, if this thing actually moves, I would love to see a video of it. I'm curious how that would work. I also do like that the username is Walk, Crawl, Run. Just selling at home. Medieval Tattered. Alright, I said tattered. Tavern. I'm tired. My voice is going already. This is a very impressive model. There's some very interesting uses of pieces along the roof. I'm trying to figure out what that is. I think it's a tile? I'm not sure. Something going on with the roof. But, I like that there's something different to it. Maybe they're the ingot pieces. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Still, yeah. It's something fascinating. It definitely looks like... This almost looks like the kind of thing... If I lived in the Lego world, it would be cool to look at. Like, to walk around it. And buildings like that. I could definitely see that. I don't even know if they make the cat like that anymore. But it would be nice to get those hens. A little frog up there. Yep, they got the frog points. They changed the color of the falcon in this digital model to white. That would be kind of cool. Although they could just as easily use the seagull piece as a replacement for that. But okay. I think that would actually be cool, having the falcon colored different ways to represent different birds. We've only ever seen it in black, officially. I got a little market stand here. Some walling there, a little tunnel way there. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. It wouldn't go up very well with other, like the medieval blacksmith or something. Women of computering. So, how many of these can I name off the top of my head? I think I've heard of Ada Lovelace. That's maybe the closest personally, so this would definitely be a learning experience for me. I mean, heck, I didn't know everybody from the Women of NASA set. I knew Sally Ride at probably the best out of them, but I still, had to learn some of the other ones. It was like, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the point of these kinds of sets, is that it's a quick learning experience while having a model representing the person you learned about. I did this myself when I was in 6th or 7th grade in my history class. I would actually build vignettes or small models of what we were learning in the class to help it stay relevant in my head. That's like, okay, I remember what this was supposed to mean. I remember what this is supposed to represent because I built a model that visualized it, as opposed to just reading the words in the textbook. So there's nothing wrong with that as a strategy, as a fundamental idea. And these do look unique enough that you can kind of get a vibe as to what area of computing they're covering and what kind of development or, what era it was coming out in. So I like it. I like that there's variety between these and that there's distinct features. Even if I'm not familiar with them right offhand, you still get an idea as to, an evolution of computering. The Tavern Under the Snow. Okay. Got another medieval vibe going on. But this one I could also see taking away from the medieval vibe a little bit, because it's almost like a winter village kind of set. But I think it's very unique. I love the way that this one has the sideways door built on here. I like that there's most of the hut or tavern is one story above everything. So, you know, it has like a different presence to it that if you inserted this with other as other Castletown or Marketplace kind of sets, it would work very well. It would very distinctly stand out in that way. And I don't even know if that branch piece was in white before. Never, not that I can think of, but that would be cool if it was offered. And it definitely very well decorates itself for that winter time. So, nothing wrong with that. Working mini golf course, fully playable. This reminds me of the Maze set from JK Brickworks, who's done a lot of phenomenal models that, most part, have turned into actual LEGO Ideas sets. And I think one of the AFOL designer sets, Pursuit of Flight, was also from him. So he's got a lot of good brain up there. Big brain time all around. This one is done in a very interesting way for a lot of the golf course, in which the outside of it is made out of bricks that are turned sideways. So all of these have very smooth textures for the actual field, the actual greenery of it, and the borders work well enough that, like, if you hit a ball in a certain direction, then it'll interact with the wall, you know, won't fall out of place or anything. And I like it. There's, 3 holes to it? From what it looks like? Give or take. And there's a couple of gears that I see around it. So I really do wonder, like, I guess that's for... Oh, I figured it out. Okay, just by looking at this, I love that I could figure this out. The gears down here and over there are connected to these tan studs that are coming out of the ground. You can place a minifigure on each of those, holding the golf club and having presumably a golf ball nearby, that you can actually swing him using that gear to turn. That's incredible. I love that idea. And again, I hope that there is a physical model of this at some point, because I would love to see this thing in action. I mean, it's probably not going to have the spinning windmill, because that looks like a really small construction, very hard to fit a motorized thing in it. But I do love that the rest of this is useful. Is something you can actually play around with, trying to get a good score. Very nice. It almost looks like it's a real set. I think it's digital. There's a lot of glossy... I don't know. Maybe. Brickwalk. Again, another big modular scale type of ideas project gathering. And yeah, to be fair, a lot of people like the modulars. I mean, I only own the Parisian restaurant, and if you want to count Ninjago City. So I have actually gotten myself into the modulars for a little bit. So they are really impressive. They do offer a lot of really nice scale for minifigures. They offer a lot of nice building techniques. And this one is a little... I don't want to say plain. I just want to say that it's... What's the word? There are other modulars that put out a lot more building techniques than this one. But this still has some fair things going on with it on its own merit. Like this archway up here with the light on it. That's a pretty nice way of putting it together. I do like that. I believe that can hold in place. It's a little hard to tell from the picture. But, yeah, I think it should. I do like how they made this, excuse me. I do like how they made these little parking things, these little poles, so people can still walk through here without cars. Brickwalk has been a traffic-free promenade for more than 200 years. Please respect its unique character, no cycling. So I guess that's based on a real sign in historical places. And that's basically what will be printed on this sign up here. The way they designed it is actually pretty nice. Makes sense how the pieces go together there. I do like that this gutter is designed using those piston pieces. That it's actually pretty cool. Let's see. What else do we have going on here? So multiple floors, so it gives a lot of possibilities as to what can be inside of here. I'm guessing this is supposed to be some sort of historical building or historical society kind of building, perhaps. Interesting tree design there. So this could probably be have some kind of museum where it has like relics based on this area and maybe based on Lego itself. Maybe some living quarters. I don't know. But I like that there's, it stands out a bit. The color definitely stands out from other ones that I've seen. Medieval Harbor. Now, this is something that I don't think Castle has done enough. At least in recent years, when they have done the Castle lines, they don't often do Castle boats. And that's something that I really do like. Like, if they're not going to do pirates for a while, that makes sense. But I think the last time I've seen a full-fledged castle set that has, like, docks or a shore marketplace or something like that was the Fantasy-era castle, and that one did have pirates, but in the form of the skeletons as pirates. And there's nothing wrong with that. The shoreline itself was still a decent model. They were both good, and I do wish to get those at some point. I would love the complete Fantasy-era castle in the future. It's like a Lego bucket list kind of thing. Nothing I have to do right now, but eventually it would be great to tackle. Anyways, this one's got some nice shaping for the buildings. I do like the way the Nexo-Knight shields are used for the roofing on all different sides. The fishes used all across. They haven't used that fish in a while, so they'll probably change that out for either the ones down below or something else entirely as a decoration. The shaping of this ship is pretty neat, having that small look but still formidable, for the flags and everything. It's almost like, I don't know. But yeah, it's something that, there's another piece, the Heroica piece. Again, nice for the design of the set, for this, concept stage, getting the idea across. And let's see. Yeah, a lot of little gears and things with these wheels, I guess. Interesting. Alright. And you got some room inside, so you could actually do some other stuff in there. It looks like it's open on the other side, so you could easily access that and put in whatever you need to, have whatever little marketplace things you want to do in here. So, not too shabby. Oh, I gotta point that out again. Palm tree. And also interesting use of the pistol piece for a railing. It kind of works. I never would have thought of that. Floating island using tensegrity. I may be mispronouncing that. So tensegrity is a physics concept that blew up last year, especially in the LEGO community, because everybody tried all different kinds of styles of things that appeared to float. And they worked really well. I saw one or two of them at Brick Fair, Virginia this past year using monorail track. Like a thing you wouldn't think somebody would have so many of, but they had a whole bunch that they made one of these kinds of models out of it, and it worked. It was really cool. So I will give this one credit. This actually makes sense with how it's designed. Like this one, yes, would be cool demonstrating that model, but also actually makes sense as to a floating castle, vibe. It's actually done like this on purpose. Hey, I recognize that font. That's RSMT bold that I use. Everybody uses it at one point or another. It's a fun one. And you still get to understand it. So yeah, I like the micro scale of a lot of this castle, understanding that there's a lot of windows and pillars and spires around it, and like that. There's a little waterway, the little Watermill. Excuse me. I like this little map on it too. So yeah, it really does demonstrate this this own little micro world going on while having a cool physics concept. I don't know what they're intending this airship, this air balloon would be holding it up, but I don't know. It's cool. I talked about the GameStop before, so not really much to say there. I mean, LEGO doesn't normally make retail stores as a model anyways. They've done that once or twice with Toys R Us, but even then, it was a very scaled down version of Toys R Us. The selling point was more about the truck than the store, and the store was on a very basic side. Like, they've even scaled down the LEGO store in their own models. So even if they were to do something like GameStop or any other particular retailer, they would probably not go all out for the design of it. And again, I honestly believe this one rose up in the ranks because of memes, because of the past year of how the stock market's been. Aircraft engine workshop, minifig scale and working. Interesting. So I think this is only supposed to be part of it. This aircraft engine kind of thing is only part of a larger model behind it. So I can't fully judge the whole thing here from just this one photo. But I do like a lot of the greebling in here. It reminds me of the exosuit. I do like that they're at least trying to go for something, unique and different with that, how everything comes together. This fan work is really, really nice. I like all those little triangular fan pieces swirled around to make the turbine. That looks really nice on its own. Like, dang. This is a pretty clean model, just on its own. This engine piece of it is very clean. And I can only imagine that the workshop is much bigger alongside this thing. So, again, on terms of scale, yes, they've made $100 or more idea sets as, projects turned into sets. I always try to go like middle of the ground or so. Like if $70 is their minimum nowadays, I try to shoot around 100, not much more than 120 as far as the size and breadth of the thing. The amount of pieces you're going to get out of this thing, because they can't make every single one of them a high-priced item, or not as many people would buy them. And some of them may not need to be. I mean, even the Flintstones set, or the Back to the Future, or the Ghostbusters, they were under $100, and they were no more than $70 each, and were still impressive models for what they were. ScoobyDoo Mystery Machine. Speaking of pop culture vehicles. So, I love the Mystery Machine that came out in the ScoobyDoo line in 2015. I think that line, though short-lived, did itself very well. Sticking to the classic era of Scooby-Doo, having a lot of references for the villains of the theme, and the models were pretty respectable. I believe I only own 2 of them nowadays. I don't remember if I still own the plane. I did get the plane back in the day, but I've also parted that thing out shortly after, and I may or may not regret that. I do own the Mummy set and the Mystery Machine. That I know for sure. And the Mystery Machine is one of my favorite Lego sets of all time. So there's that. That being said, I would love to see this one, or something of this larger size to it, because then you can really get a lot more creativity out of it. You can have a lot more Easter eggs of all the different adventures that the Mystery Gang have gone on in the back of the van or such. I've actually went to a car show and seen a replica version of the Mystery Machine. Somebody created it themselves based on the show. They even had a thing across the front of the dashboard to show all the characters on it, which was cool. The back of the vehicle was open, so you could see all these different little gadgets and things based on the show in there. It was really nice. So, I don't know. I have an affinity for this one. I would love to see this. This and the Back to the Future DeLorean in a creator expert at UCS kind of scale would be fantastic. I guarantee if Lego put that out, especially for the DeLorean, I would be inclined to buy the camper van, because the two would pair together very nicely. I'll put it in the nicest terms that I can. Number 19, the Airport Fire Truck Rosenberger Panther 8x8. Flughafen Sitten. I'm sorry, this one I'm completely lost on. If it wasn't obvious by how I was pronouncing everything or just reading the whole title, I'm sure it's a very nice airport fire truck. And I know that they exist in real life. And I know that Lego has made them before in Lego City. That being said, I don't know what to do with this one. I am not familiar enough with them personally, or even from Lego, to say if I like this design. This seems like a very particular type of fire truck, and I'm sure it's got a lot of good features and greebling to it. That's all I really got about that one, honestly. Yeah, don't know what else to say here. Traditional German cottage. So you could count this one as like, oh, well, if I take a couple of minifigures here and there, I could probably convert this into a medieval design. Sure. It's not really exactly going for that, but I can see where that vibe can come from. But for what it is, just having that traditional look without being medieval, I think it looks very nice. I do like, again, the roofing that's done on this one. I like all of the tile work that's done on the sides to build up the boards and supports around the outside of the model. Something that's also been done in Castle, just by chance. And it's got a lot of breadth to it. There's a lot of size to this thing. Maybe too much for ideas, maybe not, I'm not sure. And I also do like the little classy vehicle down here. Even though it's only made to fit one minifigure, it still looks pretty good for what it's going for. And LEGO's done similar ones like this, but I don't think they've done them exactly like this, so it does feel like it's doing its own thing. Outer System Explorers. So this is the one earlier I mentioned in the beginning, where it was incorrectly called the Animal Crossing Paradise Island or something like that. Island Paradise, that's it. So that project, not a part of this whole run. It's the Outer Solar System Explorers instead. So this looks like a little, again, it's kind of like the Women of NASA, actually, in which it's demonstrating these models with some historical value to them that have little stands and displays and explaining things, which would honestly be a very nice idea on its own. I know it's LEGO Ideas. It's a very nice idea concept for a line of sets. Having them all together in one set would definitely be convenient, but if LEGO came up with this internally, I could easily see them do like a couple of them per set, or every one of them would be its own set or something like that. But it still looks pretty nice for what it has here, and different minifigures to go with them. I'm assuming either based on the minifigure, or I mean, like, the model is based on the minifigure, or it's someone who worked on it, perhaps. I know they have Galileo as the minifigure, but also the shuttle, or the satellite, where it's like, oh, this is the satellite that's named after Galileo Galilei, and therefore recreating the figure. I really do like the recreation of the minifigure there. That's specifically from the, I think, Juno? I want to say it's Juno satellite that went into space, and LEGO made specifically casted figures that went on that voyage. One was an exclusive part, but all of them made just for that trip, never released, to the public or anything beyond that. So that's cool that they tried to recreate the figure there. And they got little stands with them. Yeah. Okay. And let's be honest, LEGO Ideas does like their fair share of space and space history. We got the Saturn V twice. We've got, was it Discovery an idea set? I don't know. Even if it wasn't, they still make a lot of large space-related stuff lately. Knight Rider, Kit and the Flagmobile Command Unit. I don't know the show Knight Rider that well. I've only ever grown up with the NES game. I'd never watched any movies or anything based on Knight Rider. I do remember from LEGO Dimensions, because as an 80s paradise, as I call it, they did feature a LEGO set of that. So there is a LEGO David Hasselhoff, and that's basically what they borrow this minifigure from. I do like the larger sized kit, though. I do like that the actual car is made for minifigure scale, because they didn't do that in Dimensions. They had everything micro-sized, which, fit on the toy pad. For that purpose, it made more sense. So with this one, in almost a Speed Champion scale, this works nicely. I'm a little curious about this whole front area, though. I don't know if these are supposed to be leaning forward like that, or if they're just not connecting in place digitally. I'm Not really sure what's happening there for these little studs on the sides. But otherwise, it looks like a really nice car. Represents what I know of it pretty well. And as far as the rest of it, I know people who are interested in this and clamoring for the truck. I don't know enough about it. And I just see this as a really nice, large tractor-trailer truck, which is not bad. That's not bad. I think that would still be really cool in Lego scale. But, or in Lego style. Because they haven't really done anything like that I know of. Unless they did the Model Team one. That's the only one I can think of. But even then, it wasn't made to interact with minifigures, really, for scale. So there's that. Next up, we got John's Medieval Watermill. This almost borrows a lot of, almost reminds me of the medieval blacksmith. I don't want to say it borrows from anything. I don't want to tell him he's a plagiarist or anything like that. It just reminds me of it. But it still stands out in its own way on how they made the roof. A lot of different tile work and, the little ingots and Nexonite shields once again. So it makes it more thatched. A little more, worn out. I do like the way that it's also used on the sides for some of the brickwork. So that's pretty fair there, too. I don't know if it's supposed to be a spinning water wheel, but it would be nice if it does. Got a little frog over there. This one actually looks like it has some form of plate to it. Not a base plate, but just like a plate layer around it to kind of, contain everything. Still have the waterways and things like that. People like the Falcon. That's the third time or fourth time I've seen it now. I do like that they also use the lantern piece in there. The one from like Green Lantern and such has made its rounds for a while as a building technique, which is pretty nice. So yeah, there's a lot of nice breadth to this one. There's a lot of nice size and possibility that this thing can do. More than just being a mill that, you turn the wheel and it does the function. This looks like somebody's home. This looks like something that people could live inside of. Jaws. So Jaws did have a recent anniversary, if I recall correctly. So a lot of people were interested in a Jaws brickhead or a Jaws Lego set to commemorate that anniversary. And I've been seeing Jaws on TV often. Like, not just because of the anniversary, but also because it's summer. So, it just kind of works that way. It would be nice if there was a Jaws-related thing here. Lego itself has never made a Jaws set or even a parody of it, unless you count Lego Studios once again. They did a sort of parody because they made all these little brick film, templates, these little defaults that would come with the Movie Maker set. And you could also find little snapshots of them in LEGO Studios instructions in general. But yeah, because it's a Steven Spielberg Movie Maker set, Spielberg, was the director behind Jaws, so it only made sense that they're going to parody a bunch of his films. And this was one of them. But they didn't make an official LEGO set of it. They only made a brick film to demonstrate how this, this new technology would work, animating a Lego figure. It's a nice boat, too. I like the wiring to go with it and to really get the sail work going on it. My question is, okay, so they do have the canisters. And they look like they could probably fit inside of the shark's mouth. I'm just wondering if you can recreate the classic scene. If you know what I mean. It's also a nice brick-built shark, too. I don't think anybody's made a shark like that I've seen. Basement and sewerage. Interesting idea. Interesting. I kind of like the... I didn't notice this at first, but I just saw this now, and this is really cute. The crocodile underneath the walkway here. That's funny. I like that. That is a point for me already. So I'm guessing the other side of this would actually be a basement, like in a house basement kind of thing. And theoretically, if somebody really wanted to improve their Lego city, you could get a whole bunch of these together in order to make something. It looks like it's made out of real Lego pieces as well, just by the photography of everything, as opposed to it being a digital model. So again, just really nice seeing that there. that crocodile, I'm not going to forget that. That is great. It's a neat idea, especially for a concept that hasn't really been explored in Lego. They haven't really done it that much in regular Lego sets. Even in licenses, they don't talk about basements or sewages that often, unless it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or sometimes Batman or something like that. You know, it really doesn't come up that much. But a model representing that and the little inner workings of it would be very cool. And I don't know what the basement would entail. I would like to think that it would be somebody's Lego room. But, again, I'd have to look at more photos about that. Carl's house. So, the voice actor for Carl, and also had done many other voice roles beforehand and other acting roles in general, had recently just passed away. So, my respects to the family as well. And, Up is definitely a set, or is definitely a movie from Disney that people have wanted for years as a Lego set. Especially just, like, if you had to pick one thing, it would have to be the house. And you could add in other little things to it, like Kevin or Doug, you know, as a dog. This one's made so that it's actually made to fit with other modular buildings, which would actually be appropriate, considering the beginning of the film, he was surrounded by industry. He was surrounded in this, you know, development that was going to basically bulldoze his house. So this would actually work very well. I do like the colors that are used in here, very accurate to the film. It would be kind of cute if there was a portrait or two of Carl and Ellie, you know, somewhere in the house itself. You know, using existing pieces, this works fine. But, you know, they would probably jazz them up a bit. Just at least given the concept there. These giant pieces would obviously not be used, but they would probably, you know, it still gets the concept across. It still has the idea, okay, it can actually unveil the balloons instead of just having them already there or something. Because, yeah, these pieces don't exist in the Lego catalog, and I doubt they would bring them back nowadays. But it still gives a good breadth of what they're going for. I like this. Really like all this work on here. A lot of nougat. Interesting how that comes through. I feel like if Lego didn't make it as a model, they would probably change that to tan, because that would not be an easy thing for them to make all those kinds of color, all those kinds of pieces in that color. But it still looks really nice. I like what it's going for, and is definitely a great movie to aspire off of. And adding Kevin in here would make a lot of sense. I could totally see them skipping on adding Charles Muntz or any of the other dogs in here, or even like the planes with the dogs in them. It doesn't need it. It would look fine just as is. Alright, I'm going to mispronounce this one entirely. Excuse me for a second, I gotta sneeze. Alright, with that being said, Nieven, Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm not familiar with this at all. I do know Copenhagen is a town in Denmark. I do know it's a very popular town in Denmark. I do know that it's home to many things that Lego itself has worked with. Like, many businesses that Lego has worked with have locations in Copenhagen. And this is a miniature version of it, which kind of reminds me of the Lego factory sets because of the way the minifigures are scaled. So I do like that element of it right off the bat. All of those Erling bricks used as windows is really creative. I do like that idea, because I feel like I've seen it before, but not often enough, or not in this, this wide variety of it. So it does look really nice here with all these different buildings. And even the ones up top, for the little roofs, the little windows on the roof. The building the boat looks very proper here as well. I do recognize that they actually shaped part of the striping on the on the boat around the Denmark, flag. Because you have the flag over here, but then you look at the boat and you're like, oh, I see what you did there. So, it's a little clever thing. Even Lego designers themselves would do that in Lego sets. I remember that Tiago Catarino mentioned that in the helicarrier, there was a Portuguese flag, because of just a couple of plates assembled in the right color scheme. So it's really nice, when little touches like that are added in, just make this thing even more stand out. So As a micro model, it looks pretty nice. Next we have Minas Tirith. Again, I'm mispronouncing this, I'm sure. I don't know if this is supposed to be based off of Lord of the Rings because it has Lord of the Rings pieces used here, or if that's just a stand-in for something else. Maybe another fantasy castle thing I'm not familiar with. I'm not familiar with Lord of the Rings personally. I've only watched one of the films, and even then I fell asleep through most of it, so cut me some slack if I don't know what it is. I'd love to watch it at some point. I wouldn't watch all of them or the extended versions in a row, but I eventually I hope to work my way through that. So, with that being said, as a castle model, without the Lord of the Rings tie-in, I think this looks pretty nice. It's interesting how they made a miniature siege tower in here, where I could have seen them making it a bit bigger to hold the minifigures inside. And maybe it's just because I'm referring to other siege towers that they've done in LEGO before, that they could have easily upped the ante on this one. Or if they were just being peace conscious so you could get this massive castle. Because that thing does look really nice. It is interesting of how they actually microscale some different models of it, or different windows and such, even compared to the minifigures. But it kind of makes sense in the same way, where it's like, okay, you want to capture the scale and breadth of this thing without being minifigure scale, because that would blow it out of proportion. And LEGO does this too, so fair game. I still like what's demonstrated here. I still like all the different, little areas and facets you can position minifigures all the way around. That there's a variety of minifigures to this thing in general. So you can actually get a lot of nice little display area, but also some play out of it. And a couple interesting building techniques in here, especially with like these plates stacked up towards the middle area right there. That's kind of cool. Even if I'm not familiar with the source material, it's an interesting layout for the castle. The Nanny. I'm assuming this is based on a TV show, perhaps? I mean, the TV show ones have been doing very well with LEGO ideas, so fair enough, they would explore other concepts. I'm not familiar with the show itself, so I don't have much to speak of out of this one, but it does look pretty nice. It does look pretty proper. Doing the checkerboard pattern on the floor kind of makes sense because we have that half square triangular 2x2 tile piece, so you can easily just lay those all the way around in black and white. I mean, personally, I would have tried something else, but for this purpose, it's fine. It works. Got a large building here that's almost on a modular scale. I don't know if it's intended to be modular, because I don't see anything on the corner that does it, but something like this, you could easily modify that. A lot of nice ornate decoration around the front of the building. I thought they used an apple piece in there, but I guess I was wrong. Yeah, I like the little whisks on the top of these little fence posts. That's pretty nice. And yeah, the tree's respectable. I mean, they must have thought about modular scale because they have the tree cut off at a point. So it's kind of squarish. But, okay. Again, not familiar with this one personally, but there's some work done. The apartment! Oh, what way to follow up. So, another tan apartment building, but this one does not have a licensed tie-in as far as I can tell. Still has some ornate details all the way around it. And almost looks like it's borrowing a little bit from the Parisian restaurant with that chain link, fence thing on the front, but still does something different with it. I would like if they, that door handle, it looks really nice, having like a large, like capital letter C almost looked there, but they don't make that piece anymore, so that would be one they would have to change right out the gate. And what else we got? So it is nice, it wraps around a little bit, so this is a corner kind of building. Okay. But adapting the corner very well, so it actually has a bit in between you could do. It has this little like eatery area with the black and red meetup. So like the impression of a restaurant there built into the apartment is nice. The rope pieces, the whip pieces used as part of the railing. Okay, that's creative. I don't think I've seen that before. And they used it around there as well. Okay, cool. Little frogs again. And I do like the elephant trunk or elephant tusk pieces used there for part of the window, just the shaping there. Not bad. Not too bad. Medieval fortress. Almost done, I swear. So this one has a lot of things going on. It almost combines a couple other ideas together. So you have an actual castle, you have a mill underneath, you've got... It doesn't show any minifigures and how they would look compared to the rest of this, but it wouldn't be hard to imagine it. It almost looks like it borrows from one or two other Lego sets. I forget which ones, unless it just happened by coincidence about the Creator Castle that came out lately. These flags on the front remind me of that a little bit. I don't know if it's exactly the same design, but similar to me. You got an interesting tree over here, how some of the leaves are angled. I'm not entirely sure in this photo. Again, it's got that roof structure, I guess using ingots or something? I'm not sure, especially with the holes in them. But each of the roofs also have different structures to them, so at least they stand out a bit. And I do like the roundedness of the battlements, you know, these top section to the tower. That one being a bit more square because it's a prominent, you know, like main building. Okay, nicely done. I don't know if there's an impression of like a way to get up here, like from this ground level. I don't know. Maybe I have to build that separately. House of Time. So this looks like it's supposed to be a working tick-tock clock, you know, the thing you would hang on a wall and ring at certain times. And that's a really cute idea. It's something that would definitely be really cute to see in Lego and hopefully, you know, moving. It looks like underneath there's a either Mindstorms or a boost kind of operation to this. Again, the motorization, it could be the first. I'm not saying Lego would be against it completely, but it might be a little more tricky to work around that. But it still looks really nice for what they're going for. It's a little hard to see a lot of this stuff from this angle, but at least it gives the impression that, yes, this thing's hanging on a wall and actually can motorize and move back and forth. So there we go. And let's see. A-Team, Van and Crew. So again, another Dimensions 80s Paradise, sort of set, video game add-on, whatever you want to call it. A Lego Dimensions product that everyone's pitching to be a full idea set on its own. And fair enough, because we went in with Back to the Future and Ghostbusters already having ideas projects turned into Lego sets, and then became a Dimensions thing. So it would make sense they would do the opposite, that they would take something from Dimensions that was a hit property and make a full Lego set out of it. I can think of plenty of people who would make or have made a full A-Team van, because of Lego Dimensions. It looks like the BA Baracus that they use here is pretty much the same one with a little bit different printing on him. Fair enough. I'm not exactly familiar with the license itself. I've never watched the show, and I only know a little bit of the characters beyond this, mostly through Lego Dimensions, honestly. It's surprising how many things that I learn in pop culture because there's a Lego version of it, or Lego mentions it, or something. Or something about it comes up. And not just even pop culture, but I just mean life in general. But Hannibal Lecter and Murdoch look fine to me. I don't know how much they would really have to change with them other than the faces. But suits-wise, they look about right. I don't know if they'd actually put the printing on the Goodyear tires. That would be funny, but I don't know if that's something they'd actually, get Goodyear in order to license that, in order to make that happen. But the truck looks respectable. It's got the right size to it. Definitely has the van vibe to it. Definitely, I like the striping that's done along all the different pieces. Ooh! I didn't mean to click on the whole thing. Give me that. There we go. And there's enough space in here you could fit everybody and maybe a bunch of gadgets. Log cabin. I feel like Lego wouldn't make this one because they already make log cabins. But they haven't made one in quite some time, so it might happen. It's the kind of thing that could be made. And this one's interesting on how they do the spike trees, again with the falcon. Everybody likes the falcon. I don't know what it is. That's cool. Maybe they think of it as like a black crow or something else, but it's really funny to me how many of these projects so far have come up with that piece, whether or not in the same environment or in the same, like, era. I do like all of these little reeds, or, I forget exactly what they're called, but, you know, that seems like a very natural thing, and the way they use a candlestick as a building technique there makes sense. It's really nice. The little frogs all around with the swampy vibe. The wands used for the log cabin, you know, or no, teepee style of a fireplace there. That's very nice. It would be really nice getting all these plant stalks in sand green, but again, I don't know how likely that'll happen. And also, the way that this log cabin looks, like, with all these round pieces, Lego traditionally doesn't do that. But I don't know how much they would pull to make that happen in a set like this. But maybe. And it's also nice that they include another minifigure with a dog in here. A little, you know, archery and wood chopping. Yeah. So there's definitely some good potential for inside of the house, what can be done. Maybe, I don't know if they go out with an animal pelt, though. Might be a little too much. I also do like that they use a hairpiece here for the smoke on the chimney. Pretty nice vibe there. And that's all of them. I've already talked for over an hour, and I think I'll just wrap it up here. So these definitely were a lot better than what I first had thought about them. There's a lot of neat stuff going on. You do get a lot of interesting vibes, a lot of things that people want to support and hope to see, you know. So we'll just have to wait and see in the next week or so of how the results come out and if I get anywhere near accurate on my predictions. Again, to remind you, they are... The one I liked the most when I first got into this was the Imperial Island Fort, because it would be a good counterpart to the Pirates of Barracuda Bay. Now, would I say it's my favorite? Would I still say it's my favorite? I mean, Log Cabin has a really good case for it. The medieval harbor is really nice. It really does stand out. I want to say the Watermill, but I feel like Lego wouldn't make that, considering the blacksmith shop. I feel like that would happen with a lot of the medieval ones in here. But who knows? Maybe they will make two of them. And as far as predictions go, again, I could see them making the A-frame, because even compared to the log cabin, the A-frame has a unique design that it could still use some parts in unique ways, and it still gets that camping vibe looking between them. But I feel like parts-wise, they would be a little more conscious of parts with the A-frame cabin than the log cabin. Like, if they actually went through using all those round bricks for the log cabin, I would definitely be on board for that. But I feel like they would pull a couple of them out, or the concept of them greatly. So that's why I'm leaning towards the A-frame still. Let me know in the comments what you think about all these, if you like any of them better than I did, or worse than I did. And also any of the ones that I got wrong, correct me kindly in the comments, because I am not an expert on everything. And we'll see you next time with more videos.